we are going to have our first panel of the day. And this panel is all about vRAN is not an also RAN. And the idea being that OpenRAN tends to get a disproportionate amount of airtime. I'm very pleased to welcome our moderator, who is Malik Saadi, and he's VP at Strategic Technologies. And you're in charge, and I'll leave the floor open to you. Thank you, and welcome, Malik.
And thank you, Annie. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for inviting me to this interesting panel. So hello, everybody, and welcome to the panel session I'm moderating today. And we will be elaborating on the concepts of RAN virtualization, its market opportunities and challenges facing its implementation. So as Annie said, my name is Malik Saadi. I'm heading technology innovation at ABI Research, and I will be moderating this panel session. Before handing it over the discussion to our panelists, I would like to give short background of RAN and set the scene for our discussion today. So as most of you probably know, RAN is the most important component of cellular networks, and it is designed to interface between end devices like mobile phones and smartphones and the mobile services they receive. So traditionally, RAN infrastructure is as vertically integrated and proprietary hardware often offered by single supplier. So, however, several new architectural approaches, including virtual RAN, OpenRAN, and Cloud RAN, are emerging to challenge the status quo, promising mobile operators with new avenues to greater diversification of equipment suppliers, RAN customization, implementation, flexibility, automated network operation, and the ability to launch new feature on the go without interruption of the network operation. So all those, value propositions are, in theory, that's what these type of new architectures are providing. But the implementation, of those approaches are rather challenging, as they bring additional technology complexity to the network. And as a result, their deployments will likely face a number of barriers, including compatibility with legacy infrastructure, interoperability with and orchestration, and also management of radio network formed of multiple vendor components, service level agreement and liability between those vendors, and finally potential security and power consumption risks. So to be able to evaluate opportunities I was talking about just now, and assess the challenges in implementing them, meaning virtualization of RAN, OpenRAN, or Cloud RAN, we have brought three distinguished speakers representing three leading mobile operators who will be here to help us understand opportunities and challenges facing new RAN concept, notably virtual RAN and RAN virtualization. So we have here with us Mr. Gustavo Enrique Loaiza, a radio design architect and OpenRAN specialist from Vodafone. We have Mr. Pierre Gallen, Director of Radio Skill Center at Orange. And we have Mr. Anuradha Udunuwara, a Senior Enterprise Solution Architect at Sri Lanka Telecom. So Gustavo, Jean-Pierre, and Udunuwara, welcome to this panel. So I may start with asking you probably to introduce yourselves, your organization, and the experience so far you are having with radio access network, virtual RAN in particular. So let me start with Gustavo.
Hi guys, my name is Gustavo Loaiza. I am working in a Vodafone group. I work as in the OpenRAN department. We are now working with the OpenRAN and also virtualization, cloud, all of these related to the OpenRAN work.
Jean-Pierre?
Yes, hello, Jean-Pierre Gallen. So I'm responsible for RAN Skill Center, as you mentioned. So it means that we are responsible. My department is responsible to select the vendors for RAN deployment, as well as qualify their solution for all our affiliates that we have 20 countries in Orange over the world. So we are doing that once at group level for all the others. I'm starting to work on OpenRAN. It's a colleague of mine that's working in detail on the OpenRAN as an anticipation activity. Now we see more and more that it will come to delivery. That's why I'm now interesting a lot in this evolution, if not revolution, in the architecture of our RAN networks for the future.
Thank you, Jean-Pierre. Anuradha?
Hi, my name is Anuradha Udunuwara. You can call me Anu. So my involvement is mainly on enterprise solutions designing, but I also do work with the planning team in, especially these days, we are working on modernizing our transport networks to support 5G. In Sri Lanka, 5G spectrum is not yet auctioned. So 5G, we do have a 5G test network. In fact, a couple of locations having 5G test run going on 3.5 gig. And one other operator also having 5G testing. But it's not commercially launched, but we are getting ready ourselves to make sure the transport network and other infrastructure is ready when the 5G is launched in Sri Lanka. So that transport network part also includes a little bit of RAN, I mean the front haul, mid haul, and back haul. And we also have an ongoing R&D project where we are trying to do some testing on OpenRAN, but that is at very initial stages.
Yeah, well, thank you, guys. Now let's start, with the basics. In last, 3 to 4 years, we have heard of a number of approaches, to address, the openness of radio access networks. We start to hear about OpenRAN, virtual RAN, cloud RAN, and all in all those environments, how the RAN infrastructure will be split in multiple modules or subsystems, RRU, DU, CU, and not everybody is technology versed. And I would like you to start with, to help me educate, this audience about what are the nuances between OpenRAN, virtual RAN, cloud RAN, and what opportunities and challenges, they are having, and how we understand, whether, those technologies are complementing or competing. So probably start with Jean-Pierre.
Yeah, so just you're right that there is plenty of word behind this in this discussion. First, OpenRAN for us is 3 pillars: the openness, that is to open up the competition by breaking the monopoly of the legacy vendors, evolving from a closed solution solved by one vendor to an open model, allowing sourcing of each piece from different vendors. The second pillar is the virtualization. That means that we can then put on a cloud-based solution the software that is needed to do that. And the third one, that is the intelligence. So we know that everything in the operation is becoming very complex, and even more maybe with the OpenRAN. And to enhance and to help this operational aspect, the intelligence, and to enhance the intelligence, the management of the optimization is becoming mandatory. So we have these three. So OpenRAN is for us covering all these three domains. And when we call about Cloud RAN or vRAN is only the virtualization pillar that is we are talking about. So we put CUDU function on a cloud server. We are in this case not necessarily open all the interfaces as the OpenRAN is requesting, and we are doing Cloud RAN. We have some legacy vendors that are starting with this because for them, of course, it's simpler to do this first. Whereas all the new actors on OpenRAN are, of course, covering the three aspects, obviously, because this is their future business. So on our side, well, the distinction is really made between Cloud RAN and OpenRAN, not more than that. For this new architecture.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Jean-Pierre. I don't know if Anu, do you have anything to add to the rather granular segmentation Jean-Pierre described, or you tend to agree with that segmentation?
Yeah, I agree with what he just mentioned, but at in a more non-technical perspective, I think it's actually democratizing the radio access network so that you can have various sorts of innovation, whether it is on the cloud side, whether it is on the virtualization side, whether it is on the openness side, or maybe the supply chain side, and maybe your internal innovation as service providers, the ability, the flexibility, agility that you get that you never had before, where all the vendors used to do the boxes connectivity and the configurations maybe and the software. But this is the first time that you as an operator get this flexibility, agility, and sort of programmability, so that you can do something the way you want, rather than sort of relying on what vendors used to propose in their roadmaps, their feature sets, etc. So yeah.
Yeah, so the ability to basically to conceive or think about features, so you can provide it or conceptualize it in software and ask for its implementation on hardware. Is that what you are saying?
Yeah.
Right. So Gustavo, anything to add to what Anu and Jean-Pierre said?
Yes, I totally agree with them. I think one of the main things is also the benefit that you have for the vRAN and the OpenRAN offer you. For example, the cost saving, high scalability, for example. Also, when you have all the virtualization, you have also the energy efficiency that is necessary here. But OpenRAN also offers more things, that open interface between the digital units, and there are units, and the RIC, or the RAN intelligence controller. This is one of the things that also OpenRAN offered to this solution: the standardization, the artificial intelligence, and also the automation. This is something that we can have also in mind, that the OpenRAN offer than the traditional vendors. Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like, OpenRAN, is offering a number of benefits, versus, the legacy at the architectural level, at the operational level, but also at the supply chain level, as Anu said. But Gustavo, so we know incumbent infra suppliers are resistant to the adoption of fully open RAN architecture, mainly RAN disaggregation, let's say it as it is. From your discussion with those incumbent infra suppliers, are there any specific technical challenges why they are not backing OpenRAN, fully backing OpenRAN, or this is a pure defensive strategy from them to prevent new entrants competing against them? So why do you think there is such resistance from incumbent vendors?
Well, the incumbent vendors, they want to keep their business, and this is the main things. One of the things is we, as the network operators, want them to improve the network. We want to also to reduce the cost because our OPEX and CAPEX are higher. Because if you have only one incumbent, is not a good option. And the OpenRAN offer all of these others. We know, for example, at the moment, OpenRAN is still on the early stage, to say, of the development, and the incumbents vendor, they know the technology, they know all the different components of the technology, and but we have the network operator. We try to go to the level when they can, the OpenRAN can have the same level and the features and capabilities, and then we can start look like what is the next step for the incumbents and the OpenRAN. We think that the incumbents, they are trying to defend themselves. They know the product, they know the technology, but we need to something more. We need to grow the network in order to have a better understand the network and better solutions to the network. For example, this is virtualization is one of the main key. Also, when we open the RAN, we have more companies coming to offer a new solutions. That is also the benefits of this.
Right. So when we talk, to those infra vendors, aside, from the defensive, let's put, this defensive strategy approach. They mentioned number of technical hurdles, including, interoperability issues, but also, the high security risk, mainly by opening, the front hall interfaces between RRU and the DU, and many other challenges that I don't know, if one wants to evaluate, those challenges, those technical challenges, what level of veracity, those challenges bring means, how credible, the incumbents vendors message when talking about these challenges, and how do you see that? Is there any credibility to their messages there, Jean-Pierre?
Just to maybe come back on your previous point, because it's important to understand, to my view, the ecosystem, especially the legacy vendor. We know that the Chinese are almost against OpenRAN, so they are very defensive.
Right.
If we talk about our two European champions, they have still to develop, and we are pushing them, I think all of us, the legacy technology. So the R&D is 100% almost occupied to develop the legacy. To change their mind and their strategy and to go for an OpenRAN development, they need to put resources. It means that behind they see business. Otherwise, they will not do it. So we start a move there. They have not started initially strongly, but we see now that we have especially US market that is requesting OpenRAN strongly. They are moving to go to OpenRAN. Slowly, maybe we can say it's too slow for us. Yeah, probably yes. But it's because the business that they see is not for tomorrow. So they are a bit playing with the time to say, when should I start? They will go to it, I think. Huh? They have no choice somewhere. But should I go now or wait a bit and still continue to sell my legacy technology that everybody is happy with at the moment? So for them, it's not that easy, huh? But they will go for it, I'm sure. Huh? And we have, hopefully, all the new vendors that are in the competition are here. This one are 100% working on the new development for sure, because it's their business. Otherwise, they will never have business in the world. So we have very different position, and it's not completely inconsistent. Huh? It's because their position are so different that they cannot do exactly the same. As maybe sometime when we compare them, we said, why Nokia Ericsson is so slow in OpenRAN, whereas Rakuten or Mavenir is very, 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 very quick. It's because they have not at all the same business at the beginning. Huh?
Yeah, and they have legacy, I guess, to care about, and I think it's easy, to move a company, to a completely new environment, you know,
And
while
the
they have a
second
strong
point,
legacy
the second
there.
point is that those legacy vendors have a bigger set, is that they have a mature solution working. Yes, it's not cloudified, it's not open interfaces, but they have something very strong working already. They have to adapt this or develop it in a different way to make it OpenRAN, as we say. But
Yeah,
for them, probably there is an effort, but it's, for my view, much lower than what Mavenir, Rakuten, or
yeah,
whoever has to do.
correct,
Now,
correct. So,
you say that maybe they will come at the end at the same time. That's what I mean. We think
yeah,
that some seems very late and some others very advanced, but maybe at the end, when we will have the acceptable maturity of this technology, maybe they will all come together at the same time with a mature solution. When is it?
yeah,
I cannot say really a detailed schedule.
yeah,
We are closer and closer to that, but
yeah.
and the
So,
point on the integration that you have addressed is also something very important because it's probably a major challenge. We are not developing the system; we are buying it, even if it's from different pieces and different vendors in the OpenRAN world. Integration is a big question. Should we do it
correct.
ourselves? Should we find a partner that is specialist of integration, or should we tell or ask a vendor, one of the vendor of the OpenRAN, to do it? It's a big question, and it's where probably we should not fail, because depending on this, the result of this integration, the quality of what will be deployed is there.
Great. Great. Yeah. So we will come back, you know, to the integration. As you said, it's an important issue, you know, before jumping into those details. Anu, you said that, you know, you are now experimenting, you know, with different OpenRAN approaches, probably involving some vendors out there. So from your experience, you know, how do you see, you know, incumbent suppliers welcoming you guys, you know, experimenting with OpenRAN, and are you receiving any support from any infra supplier, either greenfield or new entrant, sorry, or incumbents?
I think I fully agree with what the other two gentlemen mentioned, and what you also alluded a bit with regard to the incumbents' genuineness in terms of supporting not just OpenRAN, but anything open. We are talking about open access network like software-defined access, open virtualized OLTs, etc. So their approach is that, as you correctly said, that they knew that this is happening, but they did everything to delay this. But now we are at a point as an industry, for example, if you take Rakuten and Jio, that if you guys are not doing it, we are doing it. That's what they do. But they're greenfield. But for brownfields, I agree that we have all these issues, because we are talking about a heritage or a inheritance or a legacy of over nearly 165 years. We are coming from hardware world to software world, right? My company is 163 years old, so it's not just the network is hardware based. Our thinking is also hardware based. So for us to change the network from hardware to mostly software, and also to change our mindset from hardware thinking to software thinking is not easy. We need a massive culture change, and that is why, although our ultimate objective is to go there, until we go there, we need the support of all these vendors and partners. So finding the true partner who's actually willing to help us, knowing that our final objective is what I said, and knowing that who's going to support us. I don't think that most of the incumbent vendors are aligning to that type of an environment. But of course, yes, the second level ones, the few names are mentioned, but those are, I think we see a lot of good signs from them to genuinely partner with us in this journey. So I think if we are to work with OpenRAN testing and R&D, it's going to be not the incumbents, but the second level entrants,
Right.
the new ones, whom we are going to work with mostly.
Yeah. So thank you. Very interesting, Anu. So I'll go back, to Jean-Pierre on the integration issue. And as Anu hinted, to it just now, OpenRAN may be easy to implement in a greenfield environment, right? And that's why you can see greenfield operators very welcoming, to the initiative, taking advantage of it. However, incumbent operators are finding it really, difficult to implement OpenRAN in brownfield environments, means in areas where they have already equipment using legacy infrastructure. But I think, what I would like, to hear from you, Jean-Pierre, is what are exact technical challenges facing, OpenRAN implementation in greenfield environments? What are the technical, before even thinking who is going to help, we need to identify those technical challenges first. And Jean-Pierre, if you could help us understand those technical challenges.
You said in greenfield?
Yeah, in a brownfield, sorry. In a brownfield.
Okay, yeah. Well, the feature parity is probably an important topics to ensure that what we will start to install will be at the same feature level as the other network, because behind we have end users, and it's very difficult to tell them, okay, here you don't have the feature that you're happy with because we are in OpenRAN they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why we are trying, I think, all the legacy operators that have this issue, trying to find use cases of OpenRAN that could be deployed early and without this kind of big challenge. So we think about rural areas where maybe this problem of parity is less important, rather than huge urban area first. And on top of that, as the maturity of OpenRAN, to be honest, is not yet there, it's less risky as well. And this is where what the other point could be enterprise, where we also have, let's say, kind of environment that is a bit close, and if the feature parity with the legacy, with the public network is not there, maybe we can manage. But I would say that if we would like to go to a massive deployment of OpenRAN, to our view, we are not yet there. It will take a couple of years still in front of us. Replacing the legacy urban, the dense urban network that we have in traditional RAN in an OpenRAN solution, it will take time, so it's clear. Huh? But that's why we are finding few use cases like enterprise, like rural areas, where we will start to learn, because we have as well to learn and to transform our operation teams to manage that. Huh? It's not done overnight. Huh? It's a longer journey. That's why we would like to start early, because we know that the journey is long and quite complex in some areas. And maybe we didn't identify so far everything. Huh?
Yeah, very good.
The first real on-site experience is very important. And we try to find use cases, once again, that is with not too many interfaces with the legacy, in order that if the feature parity are not perfect, we can manage this delta.
Yeah. And Anu, so as enterprise solution architects, would you agree with Jean-Pierre as the first opportunity, should be really, the enterprise? And if you could elaborate on the benefits of deploying OpenRAN in the enterprise, and what are the challenges facing its implementation again in the enterprise, Anu?
Yeah, like not necessarily again for OpenRAN or virtual LAN, but most of the initial use cases for 5G is going to be targeting the enterprises, targeting industries, manufacturing, factory automation, etc. So in that we are looking at most of the 5G implementations or maybe 4G implementations going to be private wireless networks for that particular enterprise. So the model the operators should have is something like a common model. For example, private wireless network as a service model, where you utilize all your data centers, the edge data centers, the core data centers, everything to host all these intelligence and capabilities, and just make the life for the enterprise simple. Just have the necessary hardware components and try to support that. But there are different challenges. For example, you have latency challenges. For example, if you take Sri Lanka, we don't have any of the cloud players, namely Google or Azure or AWS hosting their or physically having their data centers in Sri Lanka. The closest ones are, for example, in India or Singapore. So if you really select something like to implement on public cloud, then you have these latency issues. So on the other side, even if they are available, some enterprises, their policies sometimes dictate that you cannot really pass any of their data outside their perimeters. So we are sometimes compelled to sort of go and implement really a local implementation of these 5G, small 5G networks, the RAN plus the core. So if you can have the openness there, of course it is virtualized, but if you can have the openness there, you can, I mean, the risk-wise, it is quite small. We are not talking about a blanket-wide, country-wide network. You're talking about one enterprise, maybe a small enterprise. So if you can do an experiment, do a R&D, make it sure that it's working, and it's just a matter of duplicating that open sort of fabric or the open model in other enterprises. So I think that is one of the models that CSPs, especially in developing economies, can follow. But initially they need a lot of R&D to find that first model, which is actually can be customized later on to suit different enterprise requirements.
Yeah. So aside, of the technical challenges you mentioned, there are other challenges. For instance, when you use OpenRAN, let's say disaggregated RAN, and you have multiple components from multiple vendors. Obviously you need, to orchestrate, manage multiple equipments. And who should take, the responsibility for that? The enterprise itself or service providers, and also there is a service level agreement issues, because when you provide, enterprise grade service, you want, to make sure that liabilities are clear and responsibilities are transparent. Means, if there is a fault, you need to trace that fault and should see how you can address it. How those challenges, implementation challenges, you think this is the market will address them? And this is question open to everybody.
For Vodafone, we are working with the OpenRAN vendors and also the legacy vendors or the traditional vendors to try to work in the interoperability between them, and also to manage all of this because the OpenRAN is a challenge. As you mentioned, you have different hardware from different vendors, and also you have different software, and they need to interact each other in order to have a better solutions. And this is a challenge because it's if you're working on the process, you have to test it all of these equipments to go to the lab, and then go to the field to implement these changes.
Yeah.
And then with any new release of the software, any new changes on the OpenRAN vendor, also change or create more challenge to the network, and also the virtualization and the open interface also causing issues. We are working together with this in order to minimize these issues, in order to improve the network. And one of the things is providing proof of concepts, trials, and in different environments and different scenarios in order to reduce this. Also, working on the service management orchestration. This is a good example. Try to automate more of the process, the labs or the implementation process, in order to reduce or virtualize the network. That is also another benefit in order to reduce the integration or the interoperability we are facing with the OpenRAN and the traditional vendors.
Yeah, so if we talk about, the service management and orchestration, and actually, what we are seeing, different vendors, come in with their own tools that work, across their own components. So Jean-Pierre, how basically, are you going, to manage as operator, manage and orchestrate, workloads, from different, or for multi-vendor environment, let's say. So what do you think, the solution is?
I think solution is probably not unique and may evolve over time. As we are coming from a world where we are talking to only one vendors, if I make it simple, we may replicate that in a first stage, having in front of us a kind of head, or I don't know how to call it, and maybe it could be the integrator, maybe it could be the major vendor of the solution, just to not changing everything at the same time. But the ultimate goal is not that, for sure, is to do it ourselves, to manage the different pieces, because if you have this kind of one vendor that is taking the lead of the synchronization of the SLA, of the responsibility and everything, okay, you may lose something compared to what OpenRAN is promising. Right. So it could be comfortable, I would say it like this at the beginning, just to start the journey to OpenRAN and try to manage the complexity of the new architecture, but it's not the target. The target is to really have all the vendors in their specialties and manage ourselves the integration and this complex world. But once again, it will not come day one. We need to learn. It's OpenRAN, it's a journey of years. It's not a journey of full days, a few days.
I fully agree. And
not only for the pure technical aspect, but as well for this, as you explained, the complexity of the management of the vendors, and then you have the operational aspect that is as well a revolution there. So all these things will happen, but we cannot ask that it will happen in a single year even, huh?
Yeah, no, I agree. So just, in line of what you just said, where in recent years, there was a kind of regional tensions in terms of economic trade, and it looks like, the American government is pushing hard for the disaggregation of RAN supply chain through OpenRAN initiative. And this will obviously create tremendous opportunity for some American technology makers, including chipset suppliers like of Intel, Qualcomm, Xilinx, and Marvell, as well as a number of new entrants that are already, let's face it, right now, most of new entrants in the OpenRAN are coming, from that regions to a certain extent, Japan. However, European governments and also governments from other parts of the world have not firmed up their vision on OpenRAN. And do you think, government regulators and standards bodies in Europe and also in other parts of the world like Sri Lanka should be pushing for wide adoption of OpenRAN? And if yes, ideally, what support mobile operators would need from government and regulators to accelerate the adoption of OpenRAN? So probably start with Anu.
Yeah, I think the main thing is the intention, whether it is the government or the regulator. What is the intention of supporting or having a countrywide policy for OpenRAN. Now, it should be for the best case or on the merits of innovation and supporting innovation and sort of sharing the benefits of that collective innovation. And it should not at any time be something very, very narrow, like geopolitical objectives that where we are trying to push OpenRAN and trying to make headlines, and we are trying to make it open. So I think although we don't have such a policy for Sri Lanka yet, I think it is something good that if at regulator level, government level, that there's some initiatives, especially this comes along with other things like you mentioned supply chain, and how do you, for example, do the taxes and levies on these components, because now we see it's mostly not hardware, but they are mostly software components. So what is the tax structure, and how do you identify these things? Are you going to identify these as traditional telecom equipments as such, or as software components? So governments may be involved in those stages, like if they are sort of releasing taxes, etc., to support these things, or if they try to follow the same tax regimes, there will be certain other taxes as well on the software as well.
Yeah. So I'm interested in hearing, Gustavo's view on that, the role of regulators, governments in pushing for OpenRAN. And I will finally have, hand it to Jean-Pierre to say his opinion on that. Gustavo?
Yeah, so well, we are working with the TIP group and also the ORAN Alliance. We are working together to create some kind of regulations, standards for the OpenRAN, and that will help support our commitment with the OpenRAN. I think it's good, as you mentioned, to have a good standards and standardization on this, the OpenRAN, and this is the opportunity that we have with the TIP group and also the OpenRAN Alliance, in order to have the different scenario where we can apply the testing, or we are working together with the other network operators in Europe to consolidate this.
Right. Okay. So Jean-Pierre.
So with Vodafone, I agree with Gustavo. We are. Let's say we have been from the beginning of this OpenRAN alliance. We have been there, create the creation, and we are, let's say, major actors there. So of course we are pushing it and investing a lot in it. Now, in terms of public authorities at European level, we need them to focus funding on project on OpenRAN and testing. And we have submitted a number of OpenRAN projects as a candidate for the European IPCI funding in order to accelerate our development in this new architecture. We are doing it on our own budget, I would say, of course, but if this public authority like the European Commission and so on is giving some fundings to us, of course it will accelerate. And as you said, US has fund to accelerate it drastically. Without funding in Europe, we will be behind. Let's be honest. We can follow what the US are doing, or we would like to do it a bit differently, because I do think that it's probably better. We are not the US, so we cannot copy paste so easily. So we need our own OpenRAN. I would say everybody will be open. Everything will be OpenRAN over the world, but what and how it will be managed and deployed in Europe may be different than how it will be in the US. And for that, we need this European Commission and entity and authorities to finance a bit in order that we are not too far behind.
Yeah, very good, very good. And that, I think, that aligns well with one question we have from the audience, from Andrea Squad. And I think, the essence of his question is basically, going to OpenRAN, means, telcos, to a certain extent, have to become tech co's, meaning technology players. In other words, there are a number of responsibilities or technical knowledge they need to gain in order, to implement OpenRAN properly. How do you see, the culture of current incumbent operators moving toward that direction? Means, the ability for them to absorb technologies rather than just use technologies so they can implement it properly.
Malik, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to break the party up, the virtual party up.
Okay.
Which I'm very sorry about because we're already over time, which is a great shame because this session was great. So Malik, Gustavo, Jean-Pierre and Anu, thank you very much. It was cracking. And I think I like best one thing that Jean-Pierre said, which is a sound piece of advice for everything in life. And that's don't try to do everything at once. Right. And perhaps before I die, I might grasp that message.
I agree. And OpenRAN is a marathon, not a sprint. And again, the audience, the panelists mentioned that clearly. So take time to implement it properly. Don't rush. And
I think the message was well received. Thank you very much. That was really informative
Thank you.
and enjoyable.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.